Hey everyone and welcome. Today we're diving deep into some really powerful teachings from Bill Vincent and Revival Waves of Glory Ministries. We're going to be exploring the whole topic of receiving personal prophecy. It's a subject that really gets to the heart of what it means to hear God's voice and to understand the incredible plans He has for our lives, but in a way that's personal, that's dynamic. So let's just jump right in with a core idea that kind of frames this entire conversation.
Right out of the gate, this quote sets such a powerful tone for everything we're about to unpack. See, the idea here is that when you get a prophetic word, it's not like getting a winning lottery ticket where you just sit back and wait for the cash to show up. No, it's the beginning of a profound journey. It's like a seed of divine potential that actually needs your active participation, your faith, your actions, your perseverance. It's an invitation to partner up with God to see His promises come to life. And as that quote makes really clear, that partnership, well, it often involves a spiritual battle.
So that brings us to our first section, the voice of God. Before we can even talk about warring for a word, we've got to understand what a personal prophecy actually is, and maybe more importantly, why, according to this teaching, it's considered so vital, so necessary for believers today, especially in the kind of world we're all living in.
At its absolute core, personal prophecy is all about communication from God that has a super clear, positive purpose: to build people up, to bring comfort, or to give encouragement. It's not about being sensational or predicting the future just for fun or satisfying some idle curiosity. This isn't a new idea, by the way. The Apostle Paul talked all about this in the New Testament. The purpose has not changed. It's a tool for edification, designed to strengthen you as an individual and the church as a whole. So the main takeaway here is that the goal is always positive reinforcement and deep spiritual growth.
And this is where it gets really practical, right? This slide frames prophetic ministry as an absolute necessity, not just some kind of spiritual luxury. In our world, which, let's be honest, is getting more complex and unstable by the day, hearing God's voice with clarity becomes essential for survival. The source material uses this fantastic analogy of a divine GPS. I love that. It's a guidance system that can protect you from dangers you don't even see, give you clear direction when the path forward is foggy, and prepare the church for what's coming around the corner. It's all about equipping people to navigate life not just with human wisdom, but with divine insight.
Okay, so if prophecy is this vital divine GPS, how do we actually use it? How do we turn it on and follow the directions? Well, that brings us to section 2, which is all about the practical steps. What do you do when you actually receive a prophetic word? This is where the theory gets real and where our responsibility truly begins.
All right, so you've just received a word you believe is from God. Now what? The book lays out a few key actions, and we're highlighting 4 of the most critical ones here. First up, record it. And I mean really record it. Write it down, make an audio note on your phone, whatever you have to do to preserve it accurately. Our memories can be shaky, and God's words are just too precious to misremember. Second, test it against the Bible, and we're going to dig into that more in a sec. Third, this is a tough one for a lot of us. Wait patiently. God's timing is almost never our timing, and learning to wait is a discipline that builds incredible faith. And finally, you've got to work to remove any personal hindrances, a theme we're going to see is absolutely vital for a prophecy's fulfillment.
Okay, this next point, it's the big one. This is the non-negotiable #1 rule for testing prophecy. The Bible is the absolute, unchanging standard of truth. A genuine word from God will never, ever contradict the character of God or the foundational principles laid out in Scripture. So, if a so-called prophecy tells you to do something that goes against what the Bible clearly teaches, like to leave your family or to be dishonest, you can, and you should, throw it out immediately. This is the first and most important filter for every single word you receive.
But it doesn't stop there, right? Beyond that ultimate biblical test, there are other layers of discernment we can use. You should think about the person giving the word. Is their life marked by integrity, humility, and the fruit of the Spirit? And how is the word delivered? The New Testament standard is that prophecy should flow from a spirit of grace and love, not judgment or control. You also need to check for personal biases, both in them and in yourself. But maybe the most personal test is this: does your spirit confirm it? Believers have what's described as an inner witness from the Holy Spirit that helps us tell truth from error. It's about using all these tools together to confirm if a word is truly from God.
We're about halfway through, and look, I know this is a lot to take in. If these ideas are clicking with you and you really want to go deeper into the guidelines for receiving prophecy safely and effectively, you can explore all of the complete teachings from Bill Vincent by visiting revivalwavesofgloryministries.com.
So you've received the word, you've tested it, it's solid. But if you think that's the end of the journey, well, think again. According to this teaching, in many ways, the most challenging part is just getting started. Welcome to Section 3, War for the Promise. This is where we explore the active battle that's required to see that word actually come to pass. This is a question that I think hits home for a lot of people. It can be a source of so much confusion and even discouragement. You receive a powerful word, you get excited, you believe it, and then nothing. Or worse, circumstances seem to go in the complete opposite direction. Well, the source material makes it super clear that a prophecy failing to happen doesn't necessarily mean the word was false. There are other powerful factors at play, and a lot of them have to do with us, the person who received it.
Here it is. This is the core principle of this entire section, and honestly, it's a total game changer. Let this sink in. According to Bill Vincent, prophecy is not fatalistic. It's conditional. Its fulfillment is fundamentally tied to how we respond. Even if the conditions, the "if you do this, then I will do that," aren't spelled out, they are almost always implied. Our obedience, our character growth, our active choice to align with God's will, those are the keys that unlock the potential that's inside that prophetic word. It's a partnership.
So what kind of things can get in the way? This slide lists some of the most common personal stumbling blocks. Things like pride, which makes us resist God's process and His timing, or fear, which just paralyzes us from taking those necessary steps of faith, and unbelief, which directly short-circuits the power of God. And notice how internal all of these are. Unhealed wounds, rebellion, even just a poor self-image. These things can totally distort how we see ourselves and God, and they can stop us from stepping into the amazing identity and promises He's declared over us. Our inner state directly impacts the outer fulfillment of His word.
And right alongside these internal battles, there's an external one. The source really emphasizes that when God speaks a promise over your life, you should expect spiritual opposition. Think about it. The enemy hears that word of potential too, and he will actively work to sow seeds of doubt, to create confusion, and to arrange circumstances that seem to scream the opposite of what God said. This is precisely why the teaching uses such strong language like warring for your words. It takes spiritual vigilance, discernment, and an active, persistent fight of faith.
Okay, we've talked about what prophecy is, how to receive it, and how to fight for it. But let's pull the camera back for a second. What's the whole point of all this? That's what we're going to explore in our final section, Prophecy's Purpose, to really understand the ultimate goal this entire process is designed to achieve in a believer's life. To really get a grip on its purpose, it helps to break the whole prophetic process down. The source material identifies 3 distinct parts or stages that a prophecy goes through, from the moment it's given to the moment it's acted on.
And this table, this lays out the life cycle of a prophecy so clearly. First comes the revolution. That's the raw message, the vision, the impression from God. Then, and this is so important, comes the interpretation. This middle one, this is where the source says most of the mistakes happen, because it is so easy for us to filter God's pure word through our own opinions, our own fears, or our own desires. And finally, there's the application, taking that correctly interpreted word and courageously putting it into action with wisdom and obedience. All 3 steps are absolutely essential for the process to work.
So what's the end game in all of this? It's all about personal and spiritual transformation. A true prophetic word is meant to confirm your unique, God-given purpose. It's meant to be a source of incredible strength when you feel like giving up, and sometimes it's meant to offer loving course correction when we get off track. Ultimately, it's all designed to spark a deeper hunger for God, pulling you into a more intimate, dynamic, and trusting relationship with Him. It's about becoming more of who He created you to be.
I think this is just the perfect way to wrap our heads around all this. A prophetic word isn't a finished building that's just handed to you, it's a living seed. And that tiny seed contains all the divine potential for a mighty tree, but it requires the right environment to grow. Our faith, our patience through those long waiting seasons, and our active obedience, that's the soil, the water, and the sunlight that help bring that divine seed to its full and glorious fulfillment.
And with that, we've really covered the core concepts from this incredible teaching. If you'd like to explore this topic in much greater detail, the full book collection, Receiving Personal Prophecy, along with many other powerful resources from Bill Vincent, is available at revivalwavesofgloryministries.com. So I'll just leave you with this question to reflect on. If prophecy is all about potential and not predestination, it places this profound and beautiful significance on our choices, doesn't it? It suggests that our destiny isn't just something that happens to us, but it's something we actively get to participate in creating with God through our faith, our obedience, and our courage to act on His word. Thank you for listening to the Deep Dive Podcast.